Namo Phat, good morning. Thank you for joining me for a daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The second mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by exploitation, social injustice, stealing, and oppression, I vow to cultivate loving kindness and learn ways to work for the well-being of people, animals, plants, and minerals. I will practice generosity by sharing my time, energy, and material resources with those who are in real need. I'm determined not to steal and not to possess anything that should belong to others. I will respect the property of others, but I will prevent others from profiting from human suffering or the suffering of other species on earth. Our Dharma reading this morning is from Ajahn Amaro, Our Collective Going Forth. This is from Beginning Our Day by the monastics of Abhayagiri Monastery. This is a big day for Venerable Kachana. After arriving at Abhayagiri about 2.5 years ago, today he is making the commitment to ordain and go forth into the Bhikkhu Sangha and is taking on the precepts of training. It's helpful during occasions like this to reflect on the process of going forth in the Sangha, upasampada, which means lifted or raised up. It not only reflects an outer process, but an inner process as well. It's the formal commitment of an individual to this particular training and his acceptance into the group of monks. It also reflects an inner commitment and an inner change that's useful for us to consider whether we have hair and wear trousers or have shaved head and wear a robe. Essentially, when we talk about ordaining, it's usually in terms of going forth from the household life into homelessness, from being an agarika to an anagarika, one who lets go of the household life. But in many ways, it's more about going forth from self-centered thinking to seeing in terms of Dhamma. It's going forth from confusion to clarity, from a life of being half awake or not awake at all, to wakefulness. That's something that is useful for all of us to reflect on, whether we're living as a lay practitioner with commitments and responsibilities in the world, as an anagarika, as a samanera, or as a bhikkhu who is already ordained. If we formally made the commitment, have been raised up into the Sangha, and have already gone forth, still, the most important aspect of what we're doing is that going forth from confusion and self-centered thinking to being awake. Unfortunately, we sometimes hang on to the formal commitment of having gone forth and taking the precepts of a monk, so that after years of experience, we can forget the part about waking up, about going forth from confusion to clarity and seeing in terms of Dhamma. Whether we're a lay person or a monastic, this auspicious day of Samanera Kachana's going forth can encourage all of us to go forth in terms of our attitudes, the way that we relate to the world. We can choose to be mindful, to be awake, and to be not so self-concerned or self-obsessed. On a practical level, we have many tasks to pull together today in preparation for the ordination, but it's good to bear in mind these reflections, not just as a philosophical aspiration, but also in terms of how we work with each other. We can bring the quality of mindfulness and self-relinquishment to the work we're doing, to our concerns, the tasks we have, and the way we relate to other people. Whether carrying a cumbersome bench through the forest, maneuvering a ladder, or setting up the ordination platform. We're bringing that quality of wakefulness and attentiveness to the time and place of the situation and the way we're functioning with each other. That quality of attentiveness will then inform all of our tasks, so that the day itself becomes a resonance of the gesture of going forth. That's what the ceremony is all about. In this way, it really makes going forth alive and meaningful, informing all of our lives. It's not only helping outside, it's also helping us to work on our inner lives, our inner worlds. In this way, it is our collective going forth. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for joining me this morning.